Welcome back, Beowulf Nation. It's on Beowulf back in with another video. Today is going to be an install video. Got this all from RIVA Racing, so I have a Solas new prop that I'm putting on. This one is that's the specs in the prop. This is the tool. You have to take the stock one off and put this one on. And also too, a lot of people might not be aware of this. So where the prop is, there's a wear ring. And Sea-Doo is the only brand that has a plastic wear ring, when like Yamaha or Kawasaki have a stainless steel wear ring like what I'm adding. And what happens is over time, if you get something caught in your prop with a Sea-Doo, it'll break and it gets stuck in there and can cause a bunch of damage. So I'm changing to a stainless steel prop, to a stainless steel wear ring. Then also too, RIVA Racing sells this seal pump. So this goes in where the prop and all that goes. So I got pretty much, I think, everything I need to do the install. I've actually never done something like this before, so I'll try to do it as much step by step as possible with installing this. I actually have the shop manual, so it's not like I'm not guessing all this. But the first setup I got to do is remove this, and then you got to take this cover off. Now there's an override thing that you do on the handlebars without starting up, where you could adjust this if you had to get debris out of it or something, and that's where I guess you have to adjust it a certain height so you can get to these bolts. So I'm going to first remove this and then see where I'm all getting at, what I have to do to adjust to get that out. But that's where the step is. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Now this kind of job like this, if you're not really mechanically inclined, I would highly recommend not trying to do this yourself. Seeing that I've never done it before. I've done a lot of big projects on jet skis and cars and whatnot with my racing background before, racing cars. And I used to run a performance shop before, and I used to work on high-end cars like Ferraris, Porsches, BMWs, Corvettes, Vipers, imports, you know, like the whole 9 yards. So to me, this isn't a scary job to get into. I mean, I think it's kind of easy. It's gonna probably be easy, but who knows. But if you're new to this and you want to try to do this, probably wouldn't be the smart idea. I got a fair amount of tools that I think I need to do the job. Some people won't own all this kind of stuff, so I would recommend going to the dealer. The problem is a lot of dealers now, because it's the season, they could be like weeks out to do work. So that's something to kind of think of. But I'll show you guys the best that I can filming and trying to get. I want to try to get this done as fast as possible. It is like over 100 degrees outside. That's why I got my fan running right there. Just so I'm trying to stay as cool as possible to do the job, but I want to try to get it done. I don't want to be spent all day. It probably should take like maybe a couple hours, probably a lot less. I mean, I don't know. I've never done it before, so I really don't have any clue how long it's going to take. But I got all the tools to do it. And here, I'll show you guys what this prop looks like. Yeah, so man, I'm excited. Let's put this somewhere where it's not going to fall. So what the plans are is putting this in, and then I'm going to run a different reflash. I'm going to plan to go in with the RIVA Racing MACH Tuner X to be basically making this RIVA Stage 2 kit is what my goal is to set this thing up as, and see how it runs. So this was kind of like, I was already doing the stainless steel wear ring that I wanted to just do in general, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm already in that same section, and that's why I'm doing the prop, because it could be in a long run a tight fit to try to get the prop in there. So that's why I figured you get the prop in, then put the wear ring in, then I don't have to worry about it. It's one last thing to be later on doing, and then that's where the next thing, because when you get the MACH Tuner X, there's licensing programs. So if I get the tuner itself, get the license for this, and then I get the license to do reflash the ECU on the GP. Oh, hang on. People try to correct me this. So is it, cannot anybody take a joke? Is this the 1800R or the 1800R. Some people are gonna take a joke. It's the 1800R, but you know we could call it the 1800R, but it's the GP 1800R. Alright, so I got that piece removed. I put it all in a plastic bag too, so everything's gonna be very organized. I got a whole stack of plastic bags right there. Now, like I said, you gotta adjust this. There must be, I got on my computer inside where you guys see these bolts, but I think this thing has to go more down. I'm not sure. I'm gonna mess around with it and kind of see where it goes. And now you can see after I do this mode, it totally dropped this thing down to where I have tons of access in here. And I'll show you guys, it was hard to do it because I kind of stand it up, but I'll show you guys what you got to do. You first would press the start button. Don't run the jet ski, just hit it so it starts up. Then you put the key in, and then the left thumbstick you hold down, and it'll say to press set, and then I held down, still holding your left hand with your right hand, hold down the trim to point it all the way down, and you'll hear it run all the way down, and then you just pull the key out. So this is where I'm at. All right, so use two 10mm wrenches. That's how I got, that's with the steering bolt. I put that all in a plastic bag. And then there's a bolt, which is part of the IBR that I took out, and that's a 13mm. Now the next step is to remove these two bolts, and there's two below. All right, IBR out. Got it sitting right there. Real easy to take out. Now the next step is pretty positive. I'll go look in the manual. That bolt, that bolt, that bolt, that bolt. I'm not sure if you remove the comb first. I'm gonna read up all on that. But you can see all this white stuff, that's actually salt. That's from, you know, like sitting in there. So it's kind of good to get used to like learning how to do this, so you can be paying attention to all this stuff. Actually, it was a little loose. The bolts were on here, but it wasn't like super tight. I don't know if it's supposed to be really tight, but that was kind of loose. The bolts were on there, but yeah, I'll make sure I read up on there. But that's a prop in there, so we got to pull this out and then pop in the new one. And I think we're basically almost at the halfway point. So it's pretty interesting with how the system actually works. I find stuff like this like really interesting to take apart and stuff. I don't know why they stick stickers like this on. See, this should have been already moved out. It's a traveling sheet label. But it's good to always get up, you know, look through and learning how, like, you know, your equipment works and all that. I think it's pretty neat. And then if you're not familiar and you're kind of new to all this, so Sea-Doos have a closed loop cooling system. So that's part of what all this is. Actually, if you loosen this, this would drain out all your coolant out of the Sea-Doo. It's interesting. Cool. All right, let me figure this all out. You want to pull this out before you start loosening. This came right out of here, so I pulled that out. Just set it right there. It's plastic, so you don't want to have it be broken. These are 13mm. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Out she comes. So I loosen everything. I also too, there was like a little salt residue. I did see in the manual you should replace bolts, but I put a little like WD-40 in here and just kind of like soaked in here, so it kind of cleans up any like little salt residue and stuff on there, so they're nice and clean. Setting that right there. Now I removed all the bolts. This thing should pull out. I'm gonna try filming it, but I think I need to do both hands to make sure this thing comes out. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, look at that. That's a massive amount of salt residue. So we got spray a little of that on there. So got it out. All right, so it's some interesting things. So I just pulled this out, and this is the seal. Now look at how it's must never been sealing correct. That it was like almost like it's been dropped. See the indent there? So obviously this is probably an issue from when it was built. Assembled and whatnot, that this could be a performance factor being problem. But see these run a plastic ring. Now look at inside there. See how it's already starting to brittle? Yeah, that's not good. I think that's the only spot that it's like that. Now hopefully this ring's real easy to get out. I'll take this seal off. God, look at that. It's really indented. But it's probably smart in the future too to be really like keeping an eye on this, because look at how much salt is built in there. I'll definitely have to be making sure I get a little bit better spray in there after riding. But man, that's a lot of salt buildup. I'll spray some of that stuff on it right now. Let me set it. Sit down this towel. Alright, so I sprayed in there. You gotta unhook this bolt to pull this wear ring out. Hopefully it just slides right out. I think there's 2 bolts. Yep, 2 bolts. And we'll slide this thing out, and then I'm gonna get the prop out. But before I jump too far ahead of there too, I'll have to unhook these to get the this like socket thing, or the prop tool to get that off. Alright, so just had to go to the local dealer, Redline Power Sports, Myrtle Beach. So this is for the bearing, or for the jump pump bearing grease. I had to pick that up. Then this is the one that went bad. This is the old seal. So this is where it pulled off, was where this was where it got damaged. Obviously this is trash. But then look at the difference. That's why I replaced. You can totally tell it's really worn and whatnot. So yeah, that's a brand new one. I got 2 as a spare next time. They said they replace these a lot. So time to jet it back and finish installing this. To all those people that worship the RXT-X, there's one, I see one. The funny thing is, this dealer has had this one sitting outside for like months and they've not sold it. Unless they have the same one, I don't know. But I've seen a lot of people like wanting to see some Hellcat content. Well, here's the Hellcat. Yeah, I have like 15,000, almost 16,000 miles on it. And people always ask about the check engine light. Why there's a check engine light is I don't have my catalytic converters in the car, and I don't want to get it tuned to get that out. But no, it's crazy. Big old severe thunderstorm coming in, so that's why I'm trying to get back. I also need to stop and get the right socket to fit this in there. I do not have one to fit that, and it's a 30mm for the back of the pump to get the prop out, and I don't have that either, so I need to go pick those up. This is a specialty tool to get that out, so I need the socket for this size and a 30mm to get the back out. So that's where I'm heading, and then I'm getting it all finished installed. Alright, so you guys want a little Hellcat sound. All right, so this is the old prop. Looks like it's like galvanized. This is the old wear ring. I had to cut it out, and it was awesome. My neighbor Will helped me out because actually we need to use a vise. I don't have a vise, so we viced the back part right there, the groove part right there, and it was rusted, so it was a little fight to get this out, but we got it all in, got it all torqued. I might shoot a little air just to get all the, like any kind of, if there's any rust or anything in there out. But yeah, it's in here, and we greased the back of the wear ring a little bit and just slipped, you know, had to hit it down and got it in place. And this is in. This was a hassle to get out, and you can see where it was starting to get worn. But then the next thing would be is putting this on. So I'm going to get my air to shoot that out, and I got this thing I'm going to use to help snug this thing down. But that's the next piece to install. Alright, so I use this to get a little hand tighten. But I got tighten on, so this is all set up, and the next step would be getting some rust. Got some salt that's in there, so just trying to get it all out. I'll take a paper towel to it before I install it, but just trying to. Alright, so I greased the inside of this and already tightened it down. There's a type of jet bearing grease that Sea Doo BRP makes that I put in there. I'm just going to wipe this down a tad and then wipe around here and then put on this ring that came from RIVA. So you call it the seal pump seal. So and it's directional to where it shows like on here, it shows like a top, so that'd be like the top. So I'm gonna hook that in. Sorry for the mess. And I got kind of all the salt out of there. There was some salt really built in there, and I sprayed this anti-corrosive lubricant that BRP makes. So I sprayed in there, and then it looks pretty cleaned out. I also too, there's a BRP makes this triple guard grease that's water resistant, and I greased the spindle, the shaft right there. I'm gonna go through here and wipe this real good because I sprayed a lot of that anti-corrosive lubricant in there. So I'm gonna stick that on, and then there's a washer and nuts that go on there, and you kind of want to like get them self tighten, but you want to hold this thing up and do it like, you know, one side there, then, you know, crisscrossing them till it's snug on there is what my game plan is. And also I'm going to wipe down, as we're speaking, I'm going to wipe this all down. Get all that salt. I mean, I couldn't believe how much salt was built up in here. And it run this thing, I only run like once or twice a week in the ocean. A lot more salt than I thought was going to be in some areas. And get all that salt out. Alright, so that's what my plan is. I'll show you guys the next step. So I got these tightened up. I got them on snug. Let me wipe down this cone. It was a little challenging to get it lined up, but I got it lined up. Now this part, this is what I showed you earlier. It's plastic to take out. So it goes in the groove back there. There we go. So you see the top part, the wider part goes way in the back. Boom. Alright, so that's in place. Alright, so the next step would be putting the IBR back on. Then this is getting together. We'll get it fired up and see, make sure it all runs. Alright, so I got everything tightened. So the first ones you want to do is there's these top bolts here. These two I would do last, but I would start with the bottom. It's hard to see. You would have seen earlier when I pulled them out because I got everything tightened, but there's two bottom ones up in there. And after you got all these tightened down and torqued down, and all the ones that are bolts, you have to do blue Loctite on all the ones. You obviously know that if you're doing this. But then you connect the one with the steering that's right there. So now that's connected. And then that's the one for the IBR. So I got everything connected. I guess now it's just to start it up and see what it sounds like. I'm going to quickly turn on and turn off, make sure everything's working. Well, it seems to start up. It shot out a bunch of water out of the exhaust. And then it just returned it back to place. So those are where those two bolts are I was telling you about. So it looks like everything's working. Now the last thing I have to do is just put this cover on for the top of the IBR. Man, this made a mess down below. I'll wait for that to dry up. So that's about it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Special thanks to my neighbor, Will, helping me get this prop off and get in the stainless steel wear ring in. It was kind of like a two-person job to get all that in there, so I greatly appreciate it with your help. Also, too, if you're looking to get any of the RIVA parts, a different Will, with RIVA, and I have all his info right here. You can reach out to him, and if you need any parts, this is the guy to talk to. With that, he's the one that hooks me up every time when I need some RIVA racing parts. So special thanks to him too. And I installed this last piece, and it runs. My plan is tomorrow to take it out, test it out, see how she runs. And it's crazy though, is how that pump seal already went bad on it. So hopefully, you know, maybe this thing, it's going to be a different jet ski going out there. Also too, like on the spindle hub, there was no grease on that when I pulled it off, and I've seen that before, and it's supposed to be greased on there. So I don't know during when it was assembled it down at the plant with Sea Doo that they didn't do it correctly. But and also too, there was like the steering system was real loose with the nut and bolt. So I got all that tightened up and all squared away. But and I've been having an issue with this too. I'm gonna look at this, not now, but before you go ready. This has gone a little. Maybe that could have been where I felt it, because but you can kind of see it wiggle. So I think some of these might have to be tightened down and whatnot, and make sure they're all secure. But I like where this handlebars come out. I know RIVA has a different one, but I do like how this one's set up with it. But I've noticed when you're jumping waves that's kind of where this got a little wobbly. But maybe it just needs to be tightened down, and then it shouldn't be an issue. But yeah. But if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hope you guys enjoy the video, because I mean, this is my first time ever changing a prop and pull it. That was a big process to pull out everything, and luckily I have the shop manual that like a dealer would use with installing stuff. But if you're new to the channel, make sure to follow me on Instagram. It's @Iam_Beowulf. Also too, like I got the merch on. I got the merch, you know, the Beowulf logo. I got the RXT-X t-shirts, hats, tank tops, hoodies, and also too with the RXP X, I got hats, hoodie, tank tops, and t-shirts. With the Yamaha GP 1800R, I got the hats with that, and also too, I might have some new stuff coming on in the works with that. So stay tuned, and that's all at IamBeowulf.com. Be driven to win, and remember too, if you're new, every day is Earth Day. Make sure you guys go out and clean up, you know, pick up trash. Even if you see somebody else do it, take care of it. It's a big thing. It's a responsibility. I think all my viewers should take upon a responsibility too of trying to help make this planet a better place. And yeah, well, let's end the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, Beowulf Nation.